All right, there we go. We in the Hangout is on the air, on there, live. There we go. All right. Welcome to another episode of Blending the Family. I am your co-host, Tommy Maloney.
And I'm Ann Stelling, his wife and co-founder. Co-host,
Hi, Tom.
whatever.
Codependent?
Yeah, no.
Co-creator?
Okay, that'll take.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, stop. Just keep going.
I am. Blending the Family. Please join us at Blending the Families for our Facebook page. Ask questions. Please comment. Join us on both iTunes and Stitcher Radio. But today we have a couple of great people who have a awesome passion. Mm-hmm. We have Don and Nichole, and Don called me today, and we were talking, and I said, Don, we got to do a podcast. We just got to get it out. And so I called Ann and said, we're doing a podcast tonight. And so she came home, and so here we go. So Don and Nichole, you have a very heart-wrenching story, but at the same time, you're taking that and turning it into a positive. So let me hand it over to you, Don. Tell us the name of your company. Also, let's get that website out there right away, and then tell us the story, please, Don and Nichole.
Okay, Thomas. The name of our company is Box Sync Incorporated. It started out as Boxes Inc. BOXSINC. Our website is treasureboxes.com. That's treasure BOXS. The reason that we went with that was that the Treasure Box domain was taken and would have been very expensive to obtain. So we decided to move with branding that spelling, and it seems to have worked so far. People like it, and it's allowed us to grab up several BOXS domains and use them as sub-projects, such as hero boxes or miracle boxes that can allow for sponsorships on our platform.
And how did this all start, Don?
I have a son. He's 10 years old now. I have not seen him in over 7 years. When he was an infant, his mother moved away from Hawaii to Boston with him. She took him the day before Father's Day, and I was not aware that she was leaving with him. I took her to court. We spent 3 years in court. Cost me pretty much everything I had, and ended up moving to Oregon from Hawaii to be closer, and continued to go to court in Boston with no attorney, and got pretty much outgunned out there.
Mm-hmm.
And about 3 years old, was the last time that I saw my son, and he and I have had sporadic phone call conversations since. So it's been a tough 7 years. About 3 years ago, on one of these phone calls, I picked up the phone, and it was Noah, and he says, "Hey, Dad, I had my first soccer game," and he was really excited about that. And I asked him, I go, "Did you win?" He goes, "Yeah, it was 11-3." and I go, "Did you score any goals?" He goes, "Dad, I scored 8 goals." And of course, I'm a proud dad. I'm like, wow. And we get these phone calls. I just really want to hear his voice. I want to hear his excitement, and a lot of times there will be silence there because he doesn't necessarily know what to say. But in that day that he was so excited about the soccer game, that was not an issue. He finished telling me about his game, and I was telling him about how awesome he was and how much I loved him and how proud I was. And he goes, "I have a question for you." And I go, "What is it?" "What is it, son? You can ask me anything." He goes, "That's just it." He goes, "Are you still my dad?" And it was like getting punched in the belly. Yeah, eyes watered up, and I told him, of course, I'm still your daddy. I'll always be your daddy. Uh, I love you so much, and I was just trying to comfort him in the fact that that will never change. And we were interrupted. The phone was taken from him, and I heard him in the background kind of running off, and I was told that I
Who
was
interrupted
continuing.
him?
His stepfather.
Okay.
His stepfather took the phone and told me that I was confusing him, and hung up. And I sat there with a dead phone. Nichole was there, um, weeping, a huge flood of emotions, sadness, frustration, anger, all those things that pain brings about. And this has gone on for years at that point. And I had a hard time that night. I couldn't sleep, tossing and turning. Um, Fell asleep finally. I don't even know at what point, but I had a dream, and I was in a dark room. There was a box opening up in front of me. As I looked inside of it, there were glowing orbs, like snow globes, floating around in there, and I could see movement in each one of these globes. And reached into the box, pulled one of these out, and I looked, and it was a video that I had of the last time I saw my son in Boston. And I took him to the zoo, and I was puzzling on this, and looked in there, pulled another one out, and it was pictures of when he was in my life, when he was a baby, and I was taking him surfing, and our times in Hawaii, and pictures of his sisters and he and his grandparents, my mom and dad, and these very special moments that I had that I never got to really share with him, and I always intended on sharing with him. And somebody told me I needed to create a hope chest, or something that he would eventually get. There were letters, floating around and they'd get sent back, and I know he wasn't getting all of the stuff I was sending him, and I was puzzling on this scene in front of me, and then this little hand reached into the box beside me, and I looked over, and it was my son. I hadn't seen him since he was 3 physically, but there was my 6-year-old son, and I immediately recognized him, and he pulled one of these orbs out, and he looked at it. He goes, "Hey, this is us, Dad." And he looked up at me and got really excited, and rummaged around in there and pulled another one out and looked at it and looked up at me and smiled and said, "I want one of these." And I woke up the next morning, and Nichole and I were talking about it, and that's when we decided to set on this journey to create something online that would resemble that hope chest, that would resemble that treasure box, something that I could take all of these precious things in and put them in there, and know that he'd get them someday. And it's been 3.5 years, and we're getting pretty close to putting it out there.
And Nichole, when Don's telling you this story, what type of reaction are you having? Because you know the backstory, but when Don tells you, "Hey, I just had this dream, and I want to create these boxes," what kind of reaction are you getting?
Well, you're absolutely right. I know Noah. I met him when he was little. We spent some time together when we were given visitation. So he was also pulled from my life. So I've been there the whole time, watched Don go through this, and I've watched the flood of sadness, and the different emotions that come with it. But mostly it was just helplessness and sad. So I remember that, and I'll never forget it when Don woke and shared that with me. I remember feeling like overwhelmed in a way. I don't know if I can explain it. Overwhelmed in a way like I knew something was going to change and that we had to do it. There was no question when he woke and spoke to me about it, like, "Oh, well, that was a nice dream." There was none of that. It was like, "Wow, that's powerful, and we have to do this now." So we set off talking about what it would look like in the physical world and what it would be like. And really, originally, we were just talking about how it would be for us and how we would create it for Noah just individually, like something personal that we wanted to make for one, just Noah. And now through the time, it's definitely progressed into something else. But yeah, we knew. The minute he told me, I was like, well, that's what we're going to do then. We're going to make that. And we had no history or no background in tech. I've been a at that point, I had been a retail manager for years. And Dawn had done hardwood floors. So our tech background was social media. We had never designed a web page or anything at that point. So it was pretty ambitious of us, but it was definitely never questioned it. We just went with it. So yeah, that we did.
Yeah, it's been quite the journey.
It's very cool.
Thanks.
Yeah, like I said, it wouldn't have happened without her, her response, which was basically, we have to make this. And so, we sat down and bullet pointed what we thought it would look like. And we kind of held on to it. We asked a few people who, design web pages, and we had one guy tell us, they're like, you're not talking about creating just a website. And they knew somebody who might know somebody, and we were contacted out of the blue by somebody regarding building a website for my flooring company, which I had no intention of doing. And I told him, I do have an idea. He goes, what is it? And I was like, oh, I can't tell you. And so the guy called me back several times that month, like, hey, I have a really good team here that can help. Whatever you need, you should come down. And finally, after about a month, I said, well, give us some time. We'll draw something up. And so we stayed up all night for days on end and went over what we felt it would, step by step, what a user would do with the treasure box. And it was, you'd sign in and you'd create a username and password, and then you'd start using, you put your pictures, and maybe a treasure box would open up visually. We had this kind of crazy idea that we were going to build a virtual treasure box. It opened up and you could decorate the inside of it and all this stuff. And then we met this gentleman, told him our idea. He said, oh, great idea. I've been through this myself. I am the child of one of these relationships. And so it really resonated with us that he'd gone through it. And he said, I can do this in 3 months for $15,000. Oh, okay. We can raise that. And so we called around, and we raised like $85,000 quickly. No business plan, no background. Have some really wonderful gentlemen that have worked with us through this whole time, and then a few friends and family that put in what they could. Unfortunately, a year and a half later, and most of that $85,000 that our initial web design guy never finished, and I'm not sure he ever intended to. He kind of went off to Disneyland with our money and created characters and games, and I was always trying to bring him back to content. This is really about what I'm sharing with my son. It's not a gamification site. It needs to stay focused on what the purpose is, and could never quite get him to do it. So we just moved on and took that code and lit it up with the next company, and they finished it. And we developed an app, but they finished it on the existing platform, and it stayed treasure boxes. It's a beautiful little website. It allows for you to get in there. I use it. I've been using it for 2 years.
Well, we hope
allows
you're using it.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't been able to release it. We have a handful of users. It's basically, it's a prototype product. We wanted something that would have vast controls on the back end, but a lot of that initial money got spent on frivolous stuff and different graphics and pages that we didn't end up using. And that's when we decided to actually reset, and we very serendipitously fell in with some web designers up in Silicon Valley who built a very powerful platform, and it was not it's being sporadically used. It was a business venture for a celebrity, and it ended up you know kind of being let go back to these designers. And at this point, we are halfway into a modification of that platform to fit our business model, and that this new platform is going to provide pretty much everything that we wanted in there. Really strong security and an array of tools for the user to be able to choose who sees what and control their privacy and the flow of their treasure box, beneficiary program, and it'll allow a person to create a life story legacy box as well as the treasure boxes that are attached to it, and really like a full circle family communication website that can be archived.
I kind of want to go back to, that time when all this was happening. Here you are, living in Hawaii. Your son gets taken away, and for a lot of guys, that would just be mentally challenging, and I guess the biggest thing is to have the right support. But at the same time, as you're going through this, Don, how did you get through it? I mean, what I don't know, what steps or tips can you give to other people that have gone through this? I mean, I can't imagine. I could not imagine if my former wife did that to me. And
well, you have a little bit of an idea. She tried.
She tried, but not to, luckily, not to the extreme that Don's
Right.
going through, where
Right.
literally picked up the child, your son Noah,
Gone halfway around the world.
exactly. So how how did you get through this? And the next part of the question is, Nichole, how do you support Don when he has, I guess I'm sure there's ebb and flow days as well, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, his birthday and Father's Day are two of those days, or the week coming up to those. To answer the first part of the question, it was very difficult. I lived with my son's mother and Noah and my two daughters, and in Hawaii, and my mom and dad lived next door. So when it happened, really everybody was pretty crushed. It was very surprising because it wasn't something that we expected her to do. It wasn't like we had this kind of it really kind of caught everybody off guard. So my daughters, I've spent a good portion of my time trying to keep my daughters. They started they were traumatized and were arguing a lot, and my mom and dad were really supportive. So luckily they were there. There was a point where it got really. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. I had no recourse. And I asked my daughters to go, ask if they wanted to go visit their uncle for the summer out in Oregon, and they said sure. They wanted to go be kids. They didn't necessarily want to be in that turmoil, and so they left, and I had the house all to myself, and my mom and dad were there. Kind of isolated myself. I wasn't really even surfing, which was really, I lived right up from the beach, and it's my passion, and I just really couldn't find any outlet. And my mom and dad went to go get the girls, and that's when it got really hard for me. Was when all of a sudden I had nobody. I have some great friends in Hawaii, but everybody was pretty shocked, and I had a very strange experience. I had a heart attack, um, and was literally laying in my bed, hands and feet going numb, ice pick in my chest, and I was dying, I think. And at a certain point where I woke up, it was like 3 in the morning, and I couldn't breathe, and I could feel numbness moving up my body towards my chest, and this really insane pain going on in my chest, and actually got kind of mad and started beating my chest. I didn't want to die, and I wasn't about to let this circumstance kill me, and kind of beat myself back into my heart started beating. It took 6 or 7 like as hard as I could hit myself, and it kind of came back on, and very strange because I had several days I think went by. My friend said that I was just like missing, and in those days I went through a really dark period in my life, inside of my room, and I was in there with this little baby crib that was still set up, and no lights, and I couldn't tell if it was day or night, and I would come to and I'd be afraid. I remember being more scared than I've ever been of anything, and I couldn't recognize where I was at. It was very surreal. I look back at it now, and I still get the chicken skin because I think I was half here and half not here, and finally I came to, and I was pretty angry about what happened, and I had a vision, and the vision was the Lord, and He said, don't react, don't do anything right now, relax. I will use this someday. I will use this. And it was like very clear what I was being told because I felt like going and doing. I didn't know what to do, what I was going to do, but I felt like doing something, and a peace came over me, and I was able to really start kind of functioning again, and my daughters came back, and my mom and dad came back, and I kind of got my head together and got an attorney. I lawyered up and went to court, and that's a whole other story. I have not had good luck with attorneys in this, especially mine, and that was a very difficult time. And once I got kind of past it and into like I'm going to fight for my son mode, it got less painful because I had a mission to get him back. So that's what that next 3 years or 2 years were. That was us kind of and the courts making her let me have a relationship. So luckily, we got that first 3 years because I don't think if I wouldn't have pushed it, I wouldn't have ever gotten a chance to even get those pictures and videos and have that relationship with my son up to that point. So very rough time. And my biggest recommendation is don't react in a way that is going to hurt somebody or hurt yourself, because then you never have a chance to come back and recover after that. So really, it can hurt really, really bad. Step back and then find out how, in that darkness, you can turn it into something that that you can start fighting for in a positive way, and don't do anything rash because you want to. I've had like just about every thought I think that that people that are going through that can have. So.
Oh, I bet. So my question, oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, please, no.
Okay, my question is, how has Treasure Box enhanced your relationships with Noah?
Well, I haven't gotten the chance to give it to him. I've been working on it for 3.5 years, and what it does is it gives me an outlet. It gives me light at the end of the tunnel. I use the journal entries a lot, so I can just be thinking about them. I might be at the beach and see a sunset, and I want to, share that with him and just say, hey, I'm just thinking about you today, buddy. And it's dated and it's logged in there. Dreams. I have dreams. I've had several dreams. One, I ran into him at early on in the development, but it was working. I had this dream where he stepped out of a motorhome at a rest stop somewhere up near Redding, California, in the redwoods, and it was wonderful until I realized, he came and gave me a hug, and I was holding him, and as I was holding him, I set him down. I was looking at him, he was looking at me, and he faded away. And as he's fading away, I'm going like, no, no, no. And I realized it was a dream. I've gotten to where, when I realize I'm having a dream, I can wake myself up. So, and he faded out in front of me, and I woke up, and I was just distraught. And it wasn't the first dream like that, but it was the first dream that we actually had treasure boxes. And Nichole goes, go write that down right now. It was like 4 in the morning, and I woke up, and I was like, typically would toss and turn. I got up and I wrote that dream down. It's still in his treasure box. And I went back to sleep. So it's allowed me to have a knowledge that he will know that I was loving him every day. And so what it's given me in that relationship is some peace.
Nichole, do me a favor. Give us the website again, please.
Oh, it's treasureboxes.com. So it's the word treasure, and then it's BOX with an S.com. So there's no E in boxes. So it's treasureboxes.com.
Okay. And I know, again, because Don and I we had a great conversation today, and one of the things that you were talking about, Don, is it the relationship with your daughters with Nichole? How's that relationship? And because I'm asking this from a blended family point of view, here you are with 2 daughters. You have, a new wife. How is that relationship going?
Can I?
Absolutely.
Interesting, because I am a third party to all of it in the beginning. I came in from the outside, and I came into the family, and they had gone through this when I met them. So the girls had embraced their Don's son's mother, and they were close to Noah. So when she took them, like Don mentioned, it was a shock. And coming in, I believe I met you how long after?
3
years after he had been born, but like a year after you had started fighting for about a year when I met you?
Yeah.
Okay, so it had been going on for about a year when I entered the picture. And interesting, so it was a struggle. The girls, young preteens at the time, is difficult enough. Then also there was an obvious disconnection. I think that their pain from the past and having, especially not just, a stepmom leave, but a sibling being taken away, made them withdraw. And I saw that they were withdrawn from me, absolutely, because here I am again, somebody who's coming in, and they're scared. What am I going to do? Am I going to, completely understandable. And it was interesting seeing it was sad, the different types of pains that were happening within this family unit, because you have 2 young girls that are preteens that had a brother, and sibling love is very strong. They loved him very much, and all of a sudden one day he's gone. And the girls were absolutely giving absolutely zero right to talk to him. We received letters after I was with Don saying we're not even acknowledging them any longer. So when Noah was taken from the girls' lives, that was it for them completely. Where Don has conversations here and there, the girls have had no conversation and no connection with him since the day that their mother took him.
Well, no, since sorry to interrupt, but since the last time they saw him at.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
I believe it was
they were visiting us.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
he came out and visited us in Oregon.
That's right.
So it's been last time they saw him he was 3.
But since then,
basically since they were able to kind of finalized the final court order, and it, the recession hit. We ran out of money, so flying out there and going to court ended, and that was kind of the end of their ability to have any kind of relationship with their brother.
So Dawn and I became pregnant, and we have our own son. So we have a boy named Raleigh. He's 7 years old now. And that, too, was interesting because introducing Raleigh into the family, there was reservations from the girls. So you could see where they didn't want to necessarily bond.
They did. I mean, they bonded, but it's very...
Eventually. I think it took longer than it would normally in a home.
Absolutely.
That was. So at first it was very difficult. You could see where they were reserved. But as he grew up, and then, you can't not love, so it just happened. So it's wonderful. And our relationship, my relationship with the girls now is wonderful. We have a great relationship. Dawn's oldest daughter has 2 babies. So I'm a grandmother, and it's very exciting. So we're lucky that it's become this beautiful thing. I think it's been good for them to see that over time that I'm not going anywhere, that this isn't a repeat of what had happened. This is something different, and they can trust, and it will be okay, and that this isn't something that happens every single time. But it was difficult for a while, very difficult. There was a lot of just initial distrust, which is completely understandable. Something else is interesting. My son now is 7, and he is aware of his brother, even though he's never met him. Last time we saw Noah, I was pregnant, so Noah was aware that Raleigh's around. And watching that, because my son has never actually met Noah, but there is a very sad thing that isn't in my son that's very difficult for me. He came home from school last year, and he was in Spanish. He was in 1st grade last year. And his Spanish teacher was talking about brother, the word brother. She kept talking about it. And he came home and he said, I don't like my Spanish teacher. And I said, well, why don't you like your... Well, she just kept talking about brothers, and I don't know my brother. And so I had to explain to my son that it's not her fault. She doesn't know, and it's no one's fault. Excuse me. But it's interesting because I'll watch Raleigh tell random adults whom he doesn't know. He'll just break out in conversation and say, I have a brother I've never met. I'm alienated from my brother. And that's difficult because it's an interesting thing to try to explain to him. So the whole thing has been a lot of different emotional angles, and it's been very difficult, but at the same time, we've all grown together into something beautiful. The trust is, enough time has passed that the trust has been built back. So
yeah, that's we're very driven to you take this and turn it into something that can help to heal and mend families that are going through this, and just help to strengthen families in general. Raleigh is very much part of our team,
mm-hmm.
and it's very touching actually. The story, the pain that our family has gone through this has been it's been very tough. My daughters, like she said, had a hard time initially bonding, and they want to. They're sweethearts. They love, and to see these wonderful girls who just are basically just all they ever wanted to do was love, be reserved in that. It caused a lot of turmoil in me because I wasn't able to ever get closure with their brother, and the same is happens with my mom and dad. My mom and dad haven't seen or talked to Noah in years, and I was talking to my dad. He's getting older, and I was talking about last time I saw him, and he's like, you could just see the pain. He's still pretty upset about it. early on, everybody tried to reach out and stuff, and we got kind of smacked away so many times that everybody backed away from it, and it was too painful. And I've never stepped away from my son wanting to be with him and develop this. Once we started developing treasure boxes, it's been day and night for 3 years. But there was a point where it was consuming me, and I needed to focus on what we had. And I couldn't go to court anymore. I couldn't keep it up. I couldn't go out there and have the the attorney hammer me, and it was a pretty one-sided thing. They're a family of attorneys in Boston, family law attorneys. So I was in their hometown, and I got hammered, and it wasn't fair or just or even truthful. It just was. And I would tell people about it, and they're like, yeah, that's just the way it is. You'll see him when he's 18. Trust me, he'll come looking for you. And that wasn't
That's not good enough.
that's not good enough. I don't think people should have to settle for that when they want to share their love of their child. I think it's a basic human right, and I think we're developing this tool to try to not only create light at the end of the tunnel for me, healing for him, and understanding and forgiveness, but also an accountability. If everybody knows that this exists, then they might be less apt to create a story that they're going to have to admit to being inaccurate in the future. So I think really want to get this thing finished so we can start making some changes, and start bringing healing back to a broken family law system, in my opinion. So
we've actually seen some just recently some positive things through treasure boxes. I think as we were speaking before, Dawn Noah's mother and stepfather are aware of treasure boxes, and we've gotten threatening texts and all sorts of things. And most recently, we received a text demanding that we tell the stepfather show him what's in the treasure boxes. He asked for our lawyer's name. We flat out said no. It's private, and it's between us, and that's why we've created it. And we said absolutely not, but we'd like to speak to Noah. And in the past, it's always been a few minutes. They're definitely right there, so we can't talk about Rally. We can't talk about the girls. We can't tell him we miss him. Just simple things. Because if we do, they'll hang up, and then we will not get a call in the future. What little calls we get. So after we received this text and we said, absolutely not, you can't see what's in the treasure box, but we want to speak to Noah, Dawn received a call from Noah, and he spoke to Noah for half an hour. And I was there, and I heard him on the phone, and I could hear there was joy in their conversation, and they were exchanging information. And it's the first time I had witnessed a phone call between them that was like that. So it was we got off the phone, and we high-fived each other. We were so excited, because it worked. It worked. We got communication. We got it. And so we believe that Noah's parents, because they don't know what's in there, and they know that some of the things they are saying aren't correct, that's their fear, that Noah's going to read it and see our side, and maybe ask them, why did you tell me this, Mom? Because this is obviously he loved me. Obviously he wanted to be a part of my life. So we're seeing that that's making a difference, and we're hoping that it's going to continue to make it so that we're allowed to love the boy, because that's really all it is.
We just want to have time and be able to.
We want to know him.
Yeah, before he's an adult.
And angry, that's the thing. A lot of people don't. They say, like Dawn was saying, wait till he's 19. He'll come back and he'll look for you. At that point, he's going to be upset. He's going to be angry. He's not going to necessarily trust what we have to say, because it's all hearsay. But because Don's been building a treasure box now, and he's been putting things in it since the beginning, when he does come, when we do get to talk to him, we can show it to him, and it's a record. It's dated. So he'll know that every day for the last 3 years, Dawn's thought about him or put something in there, or that our family wasn't disconnected, that we didn't let him go in our hearts, that when we got together, we'd hold up our little sign and take a picture. And so instead of coming back fully angry, we're hoping that it's going to make that reunification easier, because he'll go, oh, you guys loved me. Who are these? These people loved me. So we're hoping that there'll be power in that, and maybe not so much anger when he comes back.
And we don't promote the treasure boxes to be some place that you badmouth the other parent. It's about putting those treasures in there. It's about creating a place of love and forgiveness and understanding. I do have and take pictures of every gift I ever send him before I wrap them, and then wrapped. They're not giving him his presents. He's going to say, hey, why didn't I get that tie flying kit? I take pictures of the letters I send before I send them. And for me, a lot of that journal, in that day-to-day, hey, I'm thinking about you. I write a lot of poetry and whatnot in there, but it's not something that we want to be used as a weapon. No. It's never intended to be a weapon. I think that might be one of their fears, is that you're
bad mouthing.
Yeah, and it's not about that. That never brings healing. He may never want to even hear anything from that, and that's okay. So far as I talked to a gentleman just the other night, and he said, he really wanted to tell his 21-year-old son, who he's finally having a relationship with, about how badly his mom treated him and how unfair it was, and his son didn't want to hear it. His son just wants to enjoy the moment and let the past be the past, and we're here now. Okay. And that's really about what this is really. We're trying to promote that. So, and I'm looking forward in a way for them to see this someday, because there's nothing in there saying anything bad about them or anything that of the circumstances that led to this point. It's not really my intention. Part of the emotional release for me, the healing, the psychology behind it, is that I've let a lot of that go. I don't live with that anger and that kind of injustification. It's still there, but it's not what drives me. What drives me is the joy that this is going to bring, and the healing it's going to bring, and what it gives to me. So it's really created to be about sharing your love. That's actually our motto. It's treasureboxes.com, share your love. And we want to try to keep it at that. We want it to be about healing and about triumphing, and about the treasures that we can put in there. And if you want to do something negative, go do it on somebody else's website. That's really where we're at with it. So
I will say that Dawn, though, it has brought in great hope. So before we started this and we were going through this, there was an absolute hopelessness and a sadness, depression, came out in different ways. When we started this,
and there was homelessness as well, correct?
Yes, there was. Yes, we ended up. Yes, most people. Yeah, absolutely. So it was tough, but it gave Dawn. I watched it after we developed this, watching him get up and being able to put his thoughts, his dreams somewhere. Not necessarily, like he said, it's not negative, but just having somewhere to put that feeling for someone that they're going to see it, gave him hope. And I saw him go from hopelessness, desperation, to a light, to, okay, I can put this here, and I know it's there, and it's going to be there, and he'll see it, and it's going to be there. Maybe it'll be okay. So watching that hope was pretty neat. Yeah.
Well,
it's powerful that way
too, Nichole, is because this goes back to one of my other points, is that we men think we're the smartest thing in the room around our wives when we are battling depression, and our wives see it, and we're in denial, and we're just like, no, I'm fine. But that's why I think that if I look at the two of you, and and that's why I'm very happy that we are doing this via Google Hangouts, so we can see the two of you. And the two of you, the way you two look at each other, I mean, it's very powerful. And Ann and I think that we're very similar, and that is, she senses when I'm not with it. And
Yeah.
again, watching the two of you, I can see your arm is around Don, Nichole, and it's just, it's the little things like that to make the journey, what Don's going through, that journey, that more better. And I can hear my mom going, "There's no such thing."
More betterer.
More betterer. But I think what you two are trying to do, being in that kind of service is just so powerful. And the way you talk about Don, talk about forgiving. I mean, like you said earlier, you had people rip you off left and right, right and left, and again, I go back to, oh my gosh, you are the calmest person I've ever seen who's gone through hell and back, and it's just like, I can forgive. And I think that is a lesson that a lot of people, like the two of you are just saying, it's not about bashing the other parent, it's about the children. And I think that's where Ann and I have that passion as well, is that we don't want to bash the other parent. It's all about the kids, and whatever you two are doing, you're in our opinion or my opinion or whoever's opinion, you're fantastic. And I'm so glad that you called me today, Don.
Oh, thanks.
Well, it's definitely my pleasure. It's nice to be able to sit down with somebody and tell the story, because I don't think we've done it together with anybody.
We haven't, not together.
This is our first time we've actually sat down and really gone back and relived it together.
Awesome. High five.
Yeah, high five.
High five. High five.
Yeah, it's fun and interesting in that it's turned from just this need that we had to the potential to help a lot of people deal, not just people that are going through the negative circumstances. There's parents that are deploying. I'd love to get this into the hands of every deploying parent and their children. There are, people that foster children who don't have a means to keep track of all of their art and their schoolwork as they move from home to home. And we just connected with a person that works with CASA, and she gave us a really positive feedback on what we're trying to do. So, to be able to take what we've gone through and help foster children grow stronger, become stronger adults and be able to look back and have roots, and help military families stay closer connected, and help those children to have a place to communicate with their mommy or daddy, to help children that are going through illness or really heavy situations to have a place to put their thoughts and their feelings down, and then of course to help people that are missing their children, going through divorce and circumstances. All of these all these people can use this and find the same hope and healing that I've found, and then we use it for Rally. We take pictures of all of his stuff that he brings home from work, and we're going to make albums in the treasure boxes, so that once it goes onto the fridge and then in the cardboard box, he can always go back and revisit it. And if it gets lost, like mine did, mine got rained on, and I lost all of my stuff, and I'd love to be able to compare it with what he's done. He won't ever have to worry about that, because if there's a flood or a fire, he'll be able to pull it back up, and there it will be. So it's fun to make one with him, because he can help us make it, and it will eventually become part of his legacy and something that he can then share down with his kids. So it's become a much larger thing than we started out creating, and the blessing of being able to turn this pain and experience into helping people and helping to connect families for generations, and giving the people the place to tell those stories of who they are, what they've accomplished, what they've been through, and to just to help create a connectivity in families that we're seeing. It's kind of everybody's growing further and further apart. And we're trying to. We hope this tool actually brings people closer together again. So it would be a great blessing if we could really see this come to fruition.
I see all of this. It's your story, first of all. Hopefully, when it gets out there, other people will hear it, and that maternal gatekeeping that happens over and over and over again. I mean, yours is a horrible story, but I've heard stories almost as bad.
Oh, yeah.
And worse.
There's bad
you know.
situations.
He's alive and healthy.
Yeah.
He's alive and healthy. So,
but the ripple effect of how much damage that's done, and it wasn't just to you, Don. It rippled to your daughters. It's rippled to Noah. It's rippled to your parents, to you, Nichole. You've even had some of this pain and had to deal with it. So hopefully people will hear this story and maybe somebody will go, you know what, I was thinking of doing this, but now I see this is not worth it. There's got to be a better way. But you go from that deep, dark spot and to a point where you've got hope and healing, not just for yourself, but for so many other people. You've come up with an answer for that evil piece in this world, and that to me is just amazing. And thank you very much for coming out with this and working on it and making this come alive.
And the sacrifices your whole family. I mean, the sacrifices you've gone through. I mean, I don't know if I could live in a tent. It's bad enough when Ann takes me camping, and I'm looking for room service and the concierge desk.
Yeah.
We live on peanuts still. I mean, it's not we haven't paid ourselves the CEO salaries at all. It's really been every bit of money and focus and time has been into developing this, and so it hasn't been. It's been a really joyous journey. We've gotten to experience a lot, really meeting some wonderful people and learning a lot. I'm much more aware about what foster children go through and what military parents go through and what
children of incarcerated parents.
Yeah, children of incarcerated parents. I mean, we're
it's not their fault.
All of these people. We hope can find healing. And it's been quite the education, and it's created a lot of empathy in me and in Nichole. And it hasn't been an easy road. And we look back and we're like, if we just worked this last 3 years, we might actually have a new car and maybe be able to buy a house or something. But I think it's the payoff is emotional and spiritual, and just like I said, the potential for to take the pain and turn it into something that can help people would be quite the blessing, and also be able to help. To show people an example of that, to be able to help people that are in that dark place to see that you can take this and make it easier for the person that's coming behind you. Figure out a way to make it easier for the next person that's dealing with this, whether it be becoming a counselor or however it is. Just take it and turn it into something positive. And if we can be an example of that, then that's a wonderful reward for the work and time we put into this. So, it's been an interesting journey, thus far, and I don't think it's over.
Yeah.
We're just really getting started. If we can get it live, and we will, then we'll have the pleasure of actually getting out there and getting it to all the people that have told us they could use it, and really. I can't wait to have this tool in my hands and watch it blossom and watch the results, and just know that maybe somebody didn't react. Maybe they saw the light at the end of the tunnel and they didn't go get drunk and get in a car wreck and hurt themselves or hurt somebody. I may never know. I mean, I won't ever know of all the ways that it could help people, and it is helping people. But I will know that it has that potential, and that's what we keep working towards, and that's why we keep, we've come this far, and why we keep fighting to get it going. So, wonderful people like you guys helping us to bring awareness really gives some wind in our sails right now, because it's been feeling pretty lonely lately. We've launched the crowdfunding site and haven't gotten that much, feedback, and haven't gotten it as far along as we'd like to. And we've had investors come and, not been a match. And, we're always wondering, like, when is that person going to come along that sees what we're doing and says, hey, I'll get behind you with this, and partner up with us and trust us enough to stand behind us and stand with us and trust us to get it, to finish the job, because we're committed to it, and we're just letting it manifest itself in that way. Sometimes it feels like we're driving the bus, and sometimes I feel like I'm a giant snowball, and I've just got my two little feet sticking out of it as I'm rolling down the mountain. Yeah. So I guess that's the nature of startups.
And you do have the crowdfunding is on the website, right?
Yeah, it takes you to it. It says contribute now, I believe.
But you can go directly to it also by just typing in healtogether.today. It should take you directly to our crowdfunding campaign.
It's like a sublink, http / healtogether.today. Takes you to our site as well. It's been an interesting campaign so far, because we've been working with the Cal Poly San Luis Obispo senior project marketing class. It's a cause marketing class. It's 20 very bright young marketing students who wanted to learn more about cause-driven marketing, not just standard marketing, but the marketing for a social cause. And we were selected as that as the company, and it's been really fun. Going and learning from these young adults, and also being able to share what we've learned and working with them. So they've been part of this crowdfunding campaign, and the class is coming to a close here pretty soon, and I think everybody's going to head off for the summer or whatnot. But we definitely want to give a cool shout out to the Cal Poly Cause Marketing Senior Project class in room 114.
That'd been great.
Yeah, and the Professor Joan Mulligan. So
our son's been attending the classes with us, so
Oh,
it's
really?
pretty exciting.
Yeah.
He's 7, and he comes to class and sits and observes, and I get him to draw pictures of what he sees and stuff. So I think that's been a great opportunity for him also.
I'm sure some of the students look at your son and go, "Oh my gosh, does he really go to school here?"
Yeah, right.
Right.
Got his little side pack on, and funny.
It's been quite the experience with him too. Through this, because he's very much an inspiration, and he's very patient with us.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're up. It's like, oh, we need to make dinner. It's 8 o'clock rolls around, and we're working, and he's been very cool, and we're doing it so he can have a place to create a treasure box for his brother and for his sisters, and also start telling his life story and be able to pass that down to his future generations.
Well, he's not too young. Start teaching him cooking lessons.
Absolutely.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
He's bright. He's very bright. so-
Actually, we got on Treasure Box the other night, and he started. He wrote in a little journal entry, and we put some pictures into his Treasure Box. So
Wonderful.
now we have the alpha site. We have a working site. We are asking people to come if they want to come use it, and we're giving it to them for free, and they can start creating a Treasure Box, and there's a free promo code, and if anybody out there. Please feel free to share that out. If anybody that watches this wants to get in touch with us and start using that existing site, it's not it's not what we're creating, but it works, and it's actually pretty fun and very user friendly. So the people are welcome to try it. We definitely want to get a couple hundred people on there to give us some feedback. so that we can apply that to the final development of our new platform.
And you can upload video, correct?
Yeah, videos, pictures, journal entries, stories, and
voice recordings,
audio stuff.
So grandma can sing a bedtime story, and then it can be passed down to all the children. So that's pretty cool.
And I read Good Night Moon,
Mm-hmm.
you know, knowing that you know, your great grandchild will, you know, can go to sleep to you reading them Good Night Moon,
Mm-hmm.
or, you know, it's a really good place to capture those stories and those songs. My mom loves to sing, you know, lullabies to her grandchildren, and so we're trying to capture all of those. She's getting older, and you know, someday she won't be there to sing those songs, and so we want to get them all in our treasure boxes for our kids, so that they remain part of, you know, of who they are and where they came from. And it really makes me smile to think that my great grandchild might go to sleep to the sound of my mom singing her a song.
Mm-hmm.
It's touching.
Oh, that's sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Very cool. Now, I saw on your website, and I don't know if this is up and running yet, but the ability to purchase and donate treasure boxes for kids, foster care kids, soldiers overseas, that sort of thing. Is that up and running yet? And if not, where do you see that going?
Well, that's part of our crowdfunding. Our crowdfunding site on Indiegogo, those are the perk rewards. We're trying to raise that $200,000 to get our platform up and going. And those are discounted lifetime memberships. So well over half of what it's going to cost the average person to buy a lifetime membership. We're trying to keep it affordable for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
We also have to, as a, you know, if we're not selling advertisement and we're not selling, you know, you like
all your information,
like what, you know, free sites typically do. We have to, you know, find revenue somewhere to maintain the storage and the bandwidth, more importantly, of, you know, the comings and goings, sharings of all of this. And so what we've done was create a perk that's a highly discounted lifetime subscription that will be applied towards a family of a fallen soldier or a deployed parent or a foster child or a child or a family that are going through, you know, critical illness. And if you know somebody who select that perk that you want it to go towards, it falls in those categories, we're happy to, when we get the product up and launched, reach out to them and give that to them. Otherwise, we're setting up. We're going to set up a foundation. It's called the Sharing Hearts Foundation, and you know, in all of our spare time, we want to set this foundation up, and that's where we will distribute these out to those groups of people that it can use potentially. You know, the foster children that the CASA advocates work with, or you know, the families of the fallen soldier. So it's really, that's really kind of part of our social. Our cause move that I think it scares investors. That's what I've seen. There's been a couple of investors been like, I'm not interested in that. You know, this is about making money. And I say, well, no, we can make money, but we can be sure that we stay on point with our mission. And that's why we turned to crowdfunding, because I've had to walk away from a couple of investors lately that would have had me developed and moving forward, but they just weren't into that that social the social good part of what we're doing. So that was rough, because after all this time, to have that potential to finish and that money potential to finish, and have to say, you know, that's not where we're going with it, caused us to run the crowdfunding campaign. And now that's, you know, we have 45 days left on that, so you know, we're really going to focus on getting the wind in our sails behind that. But that our hope was that the people, if we put it into the hands of the people and they saw what we were trying to do, then it would get us funded and we could then, you know, move forward from there. So that was those are those perks. It doesn't those won't exist until we actually get our product up, unless somebody wants to use the existing platform that are going through that, and at that point we're not charging for the existing platform. It's
and the sponsored boxes also, whoever receives a sponsor box can assign a beneficiary. So it really is something that becomes theirs, and then they can pass on their life story, or they can make a military person can make one for a child and assign a beneficiary and pass it on. So it's something that we don't want to go away. Something else that we've put in place that I feel that's very important is the fact that it's a subscription-based model. So there'll be different ways to pay for it, but one of them is a monthly subscription. If that monthly subscription goes unpaid, that treasure box doesn't go away. We've committed to holding the treasure box and allowing it to still be viewed and looked at. You just can't add to it. So if, for instance, a parent makes ones for a child and the parent passes away, we don't want a child to ever lose that. That's so important.
So we will store that.
So we will store it indefinitely, and that child can continue to look at it whenever they like. Let's say somebody's paying for it and it lapses and they can't pay for it for a bit. While they're not paying for it, they can't add to it. The child or whomever can still see it. Once they're ready to pay for it again, they can come on, pay their monthly price. We don't charge them the back, and they just continue where they left off. So it's our commitment to make sure, because to us it is extremely important, and it can see it being extremely important to the people who receive them, and we don't want anybody to ever lose their gifted box. So I thought that was an important thing.
Yeah, it was another one of those kind of catch points with the potential investor, in that
we're going to carry it.
They want to shut the account down, because if you're not paying for it, why should anybody get to see it? But and if I give a child a treasure box, I don't ever want to see any kid ever not be able to go and see that treasure box, even if there was somebody that put stuff in it for a month and it was the last month of their life, and there's nobody to pay for that. That child will always have access to that, and we're even looking at ways that that we can it can be downloadable in format and put into a treasure box flash drive, so it truly becomes something that even if the internet, if they don't have access to the internet, they can go down to their local library or plug it in somewhere and still be able to view that gift that was created for them. So we have it's a very unique project that we're working on. Nobody's really done anything like it, and I think it causes people to question, how do you think you're going to do this? Nobody's done it. There's no roadmap. There's no model. And I think that's been part of our struggle in getting this thing finished, is that people want to come and invest in or be part of something that they're familiar with, and it's breaking new ground. We're pioneering it, and sometimes it's it's lonely up here in the front, but I think I think we're going to I think it's going to catch on. I think it's going to catch on really, really quickly here, and I think we're going to be able to look back on these years and say, all right, we did it. We did it.
We made a difference.
That's where we're heading.
All right, and again, website.
www.treasureboxes.com.
No E in boxes.
No E. Now, once they go there, they'll be able to go to the crowdfunding and support you and support your cause, correct?
Please.
Yeah.
Please, there's a $5 perk and there's a $5,000 perk, and there's everything in between. And if we get that money raised, we can get this thing finished, by the holidays. And and hopefully it goes viral and we raise more money, because we have some very interesting projects that we want to continue to add some features and whatnot that'll just make it more and more fun and exciting.
And the features we want to add will make it a true, complete heritage preservation, where it truly is something that gets passed down, and even when you're gone, can be added to through your beneficiary. the
Wow.
public. We have
Right.
some neat things.
Yeah,
Some
apps,
memorial things.
some
that
apps,
should
and
be cool.
some cool little surprises in there in our project plan. So yeah, invite everybody to come on and be part of it. You know, all yours.
Exciting.
I know, and um, I look forward to visiting you two in the mansion. We'll just need,
Probably a really nice tent.
It's a really big tent.
You get the deluxe 10-person tent. There we go.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, when we did live, when we did live, it was a choice because I was traveling up and down the coast, and so we weren't necessarily like homeless, but we chose to live where my job was, and it was away from where we were at, and we did. We had one of those really big tents, and it was full of pillows, and it was really enjoyable, and it was a great time in our life. So, you know, this whole journey has been a blessing. It's definitely been a trials. But we try to make the best out of our situation, and anytime a door closes, it means that there's that isn't where you were supposed to go. So I can always this advice I'd like to give to everybody. Don't give up. The door closes. Look for the one that's opening, because oftentimes those are opportunities that that are arising in hardship, and you need to be aware and looking for those, because it can definitely bring fulfillment and joy to your life. Nichole just went and got Rally. This is our
Cool.
our
Hey,
other
Rally.
co-founder.
Hi.
How are you?
He's
Good.
How's work?
What?
how's work?
Okay, you don't have to stay. I just wanted
Okay.
you to say hi.
Nice to meet you.
Well,
Nice
it's
to
very
nice to meet you,
you.
Rally. Please come by the show anytime.
Okay.
Okay.
He's,
Don, Nichole, Rally, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
Nichole, come on, one more time. Website.
www.treasureboxes.com.
.com.
No.
share your love.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you again. This has been another episode of Blending the Family. I am the co-host, the one, the only, Tommy Maloney.
Yeah, I can't follow that. But I'm spelling. I'm with him.
Thank you, Tommy, and thank you, Ann.
Thank you so
Wonderful.
much.
Both.